folks that have been and are in trouble are in a position, and so glad for them, where they can sell. They don't have to let the home go back to the bank. And that's a benefit of this robust appreciating market that we've been in.
We're live. So, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode with David Childers from Keeping Current Matters, where we actually get in to the meat of the information that is put out there so you can read beyond the headlines, because a lot of people just see the headline and they start, but the headline is only there to make you click. That's why it's called clickbait. But What happens is when you get into these articles and you start looking at the data, oftentimes the headline has nothing to do with the data. It's just there to make people click. So, David, how are you doing?
Doing wonderful, doing great. Excited to be back on. Every other Friday we get a chance to be together, Johnny, and I always look forward to that and just talk about what's happening in real estate across the country. Enjoy doing these, enjoy being with you and everybody on here. I was watching, people join the webinar. I know we have people on live, and I would say two things about those that join. Let us know where you're watching us from. You can put it in the chat. Johnny and I will watch that. And let us know if you have questions about what we're talking about. It helps Johnny and I know what's on your mind and be able to address the things that are top of mind for you. So drop those in the chat, and so thankful for everybody that joins. See you there, Jake in Ventura.
Yeah, Jake in Ventura. Not sure where the other Ventura is, but we learned there was another one, Eugene, Oregon.
Awesome. Yeah, Tracy there. See you, Tracy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and I really mean what I'm about to say, and we kind of touched on that a little bit, that oftentimes the data is skewed for one reason or another. The data that we have to compare against last year, which you called me out on a little bit, or corrected me or educated me, whatever word we want to use, was the data last year from May. Well, it's skewed because, we had a pandemic going on, right?
Yeah.
People are taking their houses off the market, or whatever was or weren't listing them. So this created an inventory shortage, right? Yeah. Well, one of the contributors, we should say, it wasn't the defining reason, but it was a contributor to the lack of inventory that might be out on the market. When we look at this year, there's more inventory on the market. Sure. But it's not so scary this year as it was last year. Last year, everybody was there was a lot of fear and uncertainty and unknown. This year, I think people have quelched some of their fears one way or another. Sure. But what are we talking about today? Because I know you always bring good stuff. And I always, I always feel ill-prepared when I'm talking to you. I try to keep up, but it's like me trying to race Usain Bolt. It's just not going to happen. So what I'm going to do, I listen and I kind of come up with ideas and ways that agents can use the data that you're coming with for their own marketing purposes to generate more business and help them look more intelligent and like they know what they're talking about with the economic data. So yeah, the floor is yours, my man.
Johnny, I think that there's been the recurring theme for the last year and a half through the pandemic is helping consumers understand what's happening. So just to give everybody listening just a window in the conversation that Johnny and I were having earlier, we were talking about existing inventory, existing homes in inventory a year ago, looking at some data earlier this year, and there were more homes on the market this year than last because a lot of people took their home off the market, in the spring and the lockdown. And so it makes a lot of sense. So my encouragement is going to be to look at those things and say, okay, why is this? And I'm going to start with one here in just a minute. But Johnny, to go back to what you just asked me, we're going to talk about a couple of things today. First, I'm going to hit a headline that I do believe is going to be out there. And then I want you and I to talk about it because I think there's some things coming up over the next couple of months relative to headlines, relative to data that I just want to make you aware of as you see it come out so that you can be prepared to talk to your clients about it. Yeah. We'll talk today, and probably the last time we'll talk about it, forbearance. It is becoming a non-issue in the foreclosure area. I'll tell you, we need listings on the market. I'll tell you where they're not going to come from in large part is from foreclosure. So I'll kind of explain where that's wound up and ended up relative to folks across the country. And then probably one of the biggest topics that I see right now heading into next year that we want to talk about is just interest rates. Where are we at? I'm not here to try to predict or pull out a crystal ball and tell you what's going to happen, but I will tell you what experts are saying. And, as we've seen massive appreciation, low interest rates, what is going to happen as interest rates rise? So we'll kind of take that, Johnny, as a way to talk. And as always, you throwing in the ideas of, hey, here's a great video to record. Here's a way to use this information. Let's talk about it. And, folks that are putting in, Ann, Keith, Lisa, Tracy, see you in there from all over the country. People join. Put your questions in there too if you have a question about that, or if you're seeing something. But I'll start out with a headline that's out there, Johnny, and let's talk about this. I'll share this real quick, and then I will maybe pull it down, and we'll talk about it relative to what is coming here in the fourth quarter. But Adam Data just released this headline, which is technically correct. Foreclosure starts are up 49% over last year. Mm-hmm. Now, Adam Data is being absolutely 100% accurate in that statistic. And it's not as much about that statistic that we want to focus on. It's about how people in the media may report on that statistic. But just to put that into perspective, back in August of 2020, you see the red bar there and kind of the right side, 5,600 foreclosure starts last August. This past August, 8,300, almost 50 foreclosure starts, up 49%. That will be a headline. If you don't see it this month, you're going to see those starts continue to tick up. But let's put that into perspective. Is like what we talked about before, Johnny. It's impossible right now to start to compare any data to 2020 because it was an anomaly year. Foreclosure starts were extremely low because we know the moratorium is in effect last year. We know we sold a ton of houses in the spring and summer and even into the fall of last year. So it's hard to compare data to that. We know the country locked down last spring. It was hard to compare data to that. So we have to actually go back to 2019 to start to look at what I'm going to call normal data.
Yeah,
so
normalized.
Let's look at foreclosure starts in August of 2019. Oh, by the way, there was 28,000.
Before you click that, right? Well, right now, everybody, there's a term out there, how to lie with statistics. And that's what this is all about, right? Yeah. So if you leave out that August 2019 information, oh my God, the sky is coming down. But when you actually research just a little bit deeper, you'll see that it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what, again, Adam Data, that is factually correct. They are reporting data to our industry. I don't think they have an ill intent there. I'm not trying to say that. I'm more worried about the people that see that and then report on it. That's our real issue. And you may put the graph back up. I will do that. And I see you there, Tracy, 64% of statistics are made up on site. Probably right there. So let me share my screen. I'll put that back up here. Take a picture of that. I can send you, if you want a copy of this slide, you can email me at david@keepingcurrentmatters, or I can send them to LabCoat. They can get that out to you. But here's the important thing. Expect to see headlines like this because at the tail end of last year, the fall going into October, November, December, we packed a ton of business into the end of last year and last year overall. Yeah. Expect to see as we go through the next few months, home sales are down year over year. Well, that makes a lot of sense because of the amount of business that we packed into the end of last year. Now, here's what's important. When you look at volume right now, and I can bring some slides to this next time we talk, Johnny, but we'll be reporting on it at Keeping Current Matters. We're ahead of 2019. And oh, by the way, 2019 was the best year in our business in 10 years. So before you see, hey, we're down year over year and this thing's crashing and whatever people think at that point, put it into perspective and understand the bigger picture of what's going on across the country in real estate. Mm-hmm. So Ann, hopefully you got a picture of that graphic. I can send it to you as well. But going to be a lot of headlines, I believe, into the fall and in the time coming up relative to foreclosures, relative to home sales, and expect those to be a little bit of wacky. You want to have the truth for the clients you serve.
And I saw recently a headline. I wish I screenshot it, but I didn't. And it was exactly like that. Foreclosures have started, right?
Yeah.
The foreclosure wave has started, and there's no wave. It's a puddle.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I was an REO agent when the market crashed. I got approved with Bank of America, American Home Mortgage, Citi, a bunch of others in 2008, 9, somewhere around there, 7. I don't even know. So hundreds of homes.
Yeah.
There's a problem that I don't foresee that issue now. Right. And we've talked about this so many times. If you bought your house in the past 2 years, you're in an equity position.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the biggest point. And I'm going to talk about equity positions here in just a second. But you remember that statistic that I brought? Gosh, it's been several months ago, Johnny. Over 9 million people were foreclosed on during the housing crisis.
Wow.
9 million. We're going to talk about some numbers today to show what experts are saying. Folks that are in trouble, it's nowhere near that. But let me hop into that. Again, I told you, hey, we're going to talk about forbearance. If you've followed us on this housing market update for the last year that we've been talking, Johnny and I have talked about forbearance. I've tried to bring it maybe once a month or on a frequent basis so that you have the truth. So let me show you where we're at in that right now. And unless somebody says, hey, let's bring another update for that, it might be the last time I talk about it because it's becoming a non-issue in our business. So let me give you the most up-to-date information on that. The number of mortgages in active forbearance is now under 2 million, 1.71 million mortgages in active forbearance, and that's going to continue to roll off as people come off of forbearance. That's 3.2% of the folks with a mortgage in this country are in forbearance. Now, remember, we've talked about the number of people that own their home free and clear. This is only dealing with people that have a mortgage. So as they come off of forbearance, most up-to-date information as of the end of August 29th here, what's happened? Well, 42.9%, let's call that 43%, they were paid in full. They didn't need it, okay? 40%, you see it there, 39.8%, in that blue section of the pie went through a workout with their bank. So you take two of those, you take 40% roughly in each category. 80%, 4 out of 5 of the people that are coming off forbearance either didn't need it or went through a workout with their bank. It's just, you're just not hearing that out in the world.
Well, good news doesn't sell.
No, and I'm not saying I don't want to minimize those that are in trouble or may need to do something, but it's not the lion's share of people. It's not going to shift our business. Now, I do believe the media is catching up with that and saying, hey, we're not going to see a crisis, and you're hearing voices on that. But a lot of people still think, gosh, I'm worried about that. This thing's going to crash. All these people can't pay their mortgage. Simply not turning out that way. Black Knight just did a recent study. Those with a share of less than 10% equity, it's only 2%. And even some of that I look at and I'm like, I don't really understand that. With the massive appreciation we've seen, CoreLogic just said year over year, we've seen 18% appreciation in residential real estate in this country. But the overwhelming majority of people that are in forbearance have at least 10% equity. That means they can sell their home, pay a commission, put some money in their pocket, and hopefully make it through the crisis they and their family are facing. But it's just not that situation. I do think we need to talk to people and offer them a solution if they are struggling. Hey, we can go out and probably sell their home right now over list price. Maybe we can put more money in their pocket to help them. And that's something that I think we need to be aware of. And it's certainly in our business, it's a way to make a difference in people's lives right now and help them. But you want to get down to the numbers. I talked just a minute ago about 9 million people being foreclosed on in the housing crisis. Black Knight says all in, just 130,000 of the active forbearance plans have less than 10% equity after factoring in 18 months of deferrals. Okay, so 130,000. I'm not saying all of those are going into foreclosure. Don't hear me saying that. No. Those are the ones that could go into foreclosure.
Sure.
Now, Johnny, we talked a minute ago about inventory. I'll tell you the one area in mass we're not going to see a bunch of inventory is through foreclosures this year. Matter of fact, we'll see less foreclosures this year than we've seen in a long, long time due to everything that's been in place. They'll remain low. And to put that number, that 130,000, if all of those went into foreclosure, again, I'm not saying that, but let's say hypothetically they did, worst case scenario. If you just look at the last 2 years, the first 430,000 additional foreclosures would just make up for the last 2 years. We haven't seen anywhere near what we've seen historically in foreclosures in this country. And it's not certainly a topic that we want to talk about. We wish folks the best that are going through that, but it's a fact in our business. It happens every month and has for as long as homes have been financed. But the reality is the foreclosure situation in this country, we're going to see very, very few foreclosures, historically speaking, this year. Those will begin to normalize going into next year. But the truth is, people that have been, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute, folks that have been and are in trouble are in a position, and so glad for them, where they can sell. They don't have to let the home go back to the bank. And that's, a benefit of this robust appreciating market that we've been in.
Oh, for sure. And, here's something I hope agents will take into consideration is psychology plays psychology is the most influential thing in your day-to-day life, in sales and everything. It's everything. Okay. So when people are in a situation that might be tight, that 15, 16%, right? The other ones are clear, they're free. These other people, they still may have some level of negative pressure on them because of, listen, the majority of average people are living check to check, right? Sure. Or they got a month or two in the bank. So these people, they may have weathered the storm, but they still have the psychology, the victim mentality going that, how am I going to get out of this? Now, I'm not saying to take advantage of anybody. That is not our job, right? Our job is to help people. But it's an opportunity for you to go educate these people. Maybe there's a marketing piece that says, are you still confused about forbearance? We can help you. Don't make a multi-million-dollar mistake. Protect your equity. It's yours, right? And what I mean by that is, before there was iBuyer and Zillow and everything, there was Johnny Mo. And I was buying properties. I had investors lined up. If I wasn't buying them with my own money, I wasn't leveraging their money, I was flipping the contract to them. But there is a lot of people out there that may need a quick sale or something in that 15%, have the tools in place to be able to help them. But first and foremost, it comes down to that conversation of educating them that it's really not that bad. Now, we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
3 weeks from now, next week, tomorrow, something can happen. Things are happening fast right now, right? A lot of things are happening quickly. Everything we're talking about right now can go down the drain in a week or 2 weeks or something like that. Now, all of a sudden, something catastrophic happens or economically catastrophic happens. But right now, there's no problem, but you should be educating people. And oh my God, wouldn't that make a great video? Right? The truth about the real estate market. Don't listen to the headlines, y'all. Right? Hey, did you think that the real estate market in our area is about to tank and everything because of the news? I'm here with actual factual data to show you that the real estate market is not about to tank. Boom.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, and that's
the opening hook.
That's the thing that we want to do. We want to get people the information they need to be able to do things like that, to get this out into the market. And you go back in talking about what you were saying just now, Johnny. The individual, the family that may not know how much equity they have in their home. They may think, we're just going to give this back to the bank. Yeah. We can make a difference in that person's life and that individual's or family's life, and say, hey, no, you do have enough money to sell the home, put some money in your pocket and move on. So
you can create a simple spreadsheet, y'all, and make it available to people online, right? Because that's the world that we live in, right? You can have autoresponders set up. There's multiple different ways to do this. You can have a spreadsheet set up. You can have hey, are you worried about, have you ever worried about the equities in your home and can you escape forbearance, blah, blah, blah. Check your home value. Boom, right? Multiple different ways. Utilize this data to your advantage. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
Utilize it to your advantage.
So let's talk about the next topic. We've got a little bit less than 10 minutes left.
Sure.
The one thing that could start to shift and start to impact demand in homes out there. And I'll share a quote here. It's relative to interest rates. It's from Allie Wolf. She says this: the single biggest risk to housing is rising mortgage rates. It's a real possibility in the next year and could bring prices down. Further, other economic, financial, and confidence challenges could also result in a drop or flattening of home prices, even with solid buyers in place. She goes on to say this at the end, but a drop or flattening in home prices is a far cry from the crash we saw during the Great Recession. So, this idea of interest rates, we know we've had the benefit of historically low rates for the last year plus. That's driven a ton of people to say we want to buy a home. And now there's this question. What's the federal government going to do? What's going to happen with uncertainty in the world? We've got the housing market growing, price-wise tremendously, and certainly all those factors start to play together. And overwhelmingly, experts are saying the rates are going to go up. It's just a question of when is that going to happen. They've been saying that for quite some time, and we've seen this, kind of stall there that's helped folks that are still thinking about buying versus, seeing rates go back up. If we look at it yesterday, from Freddie Mac, the average 30-year fix 2.86, and he says this. Sam Cater says this: it's Groundhog Day for mortgage rates as they've remained virtually flat over the last 2 months. And the hold-on pattern reflects the market's view that prospects for the economy have dimmed somewhat due to the rebound in new COVID cases. Mm-hmm. So there's this question about, certainly unemployment. There's question about COVID. There's question about instability in the world. All that bodes well for interest rates. But, as you start to hear the Fed saying, hey, we're going to make some different policy decisions, and certainly we're not going to get into all of that today. The outlook is that rates rise. If we want to look at this, graphically, go back to the beginning of last year, this is where we sit. Very, very good in the 30-year fixed relative to interest rates. But as rates start to rise going into next year, and I'm going to show you what forecasters are saying, expect that to have an impact on moderating prices. Expect that to have an impact on moderating demand. Again, it affects folks in what they can afford. Keeping Current Matters, we built kind of an affordability matrix that you can use with your clients. You can go to trykcm.com, do a 14-day free trial and get that. But it helps you show today, here's what you can afford. As rates go up, here's what you can afford. And you can afford less as rates go up. If you
wouldn't that make a cool action live video?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you look at rate projections and, these are going to change. I'm not saying this is all absolutely going to happen, but it's what folks are saying right now. Middle of next year, 3.5%. Now, again, not a tremendous jump in interest rates, but enough to have an effect on what people can afford. You take added appreciation. Again, next year calling for about 5%. You add on these incremental, upticks in interest rates, and it just costs more, and will put folks on the sidelines for that. So, Johnny, I think videos on, hey, here's the outlook for what prices are going to do in our local area. Here's the outlook of what experts are saying mortgage rates are looking like, and if you're thinking about doing something, now is the time. Based on the outlook, because as you look at moderating price growth, moderating demand, the biggest thing experts are pointing to right now is a rise in interest rates.
David, you ever hear of TikTok?
Yeah.
Right. You can take that slide and make that your background and talk all about it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Right. You can then save that video on TikTok and put it up on Instagram. Right.
Great
you
point.
Can actually have a green screen and do it through editing too. There's so many ways for you, the agent, for the agents, the brokers out there to be that knowledgeable source. I'm working on a project with a large tech company, all about bringing it back local. I can't go into detail about what they're working on, but it's all about bringing things back local, including the real estate data and things like that. And it's the same thing. You got to be that trusted, local, educated source. That's what people are looking for. And this is the perfect way. You need something to talk about. It's hard to talk about you. What do I talk about? I don't know. I think I see Keeping Current Matters emails every day. There's your subject matter, right?
Yeah.
All you have to
take
do.
the blog that we publish every day, make a video on it and say, hey, here's what's happening nationally. Let me tell you what's happening here in our neighborhood.
It's that easy. It really that easy. But just don't worry about what's for lunch. Don't go to the water cooler. Don't carve out an hour every single day to make this video with Keeping Current Matters data and put it out there for the public. Put a little ad spend behind it too. And you're going to be amazed at how many views and how many likes and how many shares that you get and people reaching out to you because, well, you're knowledgeable and everybody else is just talking about how they sold a house in 6 minutes.
Yep.
Right. So much good stuff. What else? Do we got anything else or are we down to our end?
Those were the 2 topics I brought, but listen, watching the chat here, if there are questions that folks have, if there are topics you want to see Johnny and I cover in the future, put them in there. Those are important to us. But I think more than anything, as we kind of wrap this half hour that we do, Johnny, is be alert to the headlines and be alert to why are they saying this? What's going on? What's the truth behind that?
Right.
If you're doing that,
content and context, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Understand the difference and see what they're saying. I mean, I click on them all the time. Man, I didn't realize Britney Spears was getting freed. That's great news, right? But the headlines are meant for you to click, the headlines are meant to be a little risque, if you would, and not completely truthful to click on it and read the story. But once you get in there and you start looking at that data, and I noticed that on the headline that I clicked that was talking about the foreclosures are on the rise, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me read through this. And then I do a little research myself. I'm like, this article is junk. So Keeping Current Matters elevator speech. Oh, I guess Amy's saying she wants to Keeping Current KCM elevator speech. I'll give part of it. If you want to try this fantastic data-driven system for free, you get what, 14 days, 7 days, 10 days?
14 days.
14 free days to make videos. Try it for free.
Yeah.
Make some videos for free, put them out there, see what the response is. And then after that, it's only how much?
$29 a month. I mean, we do it for that. And I always tell people, if you find somebody cheaper, let us know.
Yeah, all y'all are spending much more on that on martinis and margaritas every day. I can promise you, right?
Yeah.
That's not even that. You can't even buy a taco for $1.
Yeah, Amy. You can go to the Keeping Current Matters website, see everything that we do, but the elevator speech quickly. We believe every family should feel confident when buying and selling a home. So we develop all of this information, these insights, so that you can be the educator. And here's our goal: to save you time and money in the process. We scan everything coming out in the real estate business so that you have the confidence to speak accurately with your clients. That's the reason we exist.
Yeah. And did anybody see the video that David did live from the research room? It looked like the North Pole where they put all the toys together. They had 1,000 people in there doing all the research and coming up with all this stuff, right? No, just kidding. You got a great team that's what they do. They make it easy for us, easy for you to be able to share this content with.
You got
awesome. It. Our time is up. We're going to get the hook. David Childers, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Y'all go to trykcm.com, get your 14 free days. Even just getting the emails every single day is a positive way to start your day instead of reading the trash or listening to the trash, because your cells have ears. And when you feed it positivity and educational things, it's going to only benefit you.
Yeah.
trykcm.com.
Johnny, we're grateful for that. And listen, anybody we can help, you can read. If you want any of these slides, you can email me, David at Keeping Current Matters. Whatever we can do to help you be the educated agent in markets while we exist. So grateful to be on, and grateful for you, Johnny, hosting this every other Friday. And I look forward to being back in a couple of weeks.
Peace out, David. Peace out, LabCoats in the world. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.